We are officially just a few short days away from the 2020 NBA Draft, and over the next few days, teams will be bunkering down to make a decision on who they want to take with their selections. So because of that, we're back with the final installment of the mock drafts for this year, with this being the official prediction for how the draft lottery will go down. Every team obviously tries to be private about who they want, but rumors still circulate nonetheless, so the criteria here will be a combination of who fits, who the teams seem to be interested in, and who I believe they should take. Before we get started though, it turns out about 73% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button because not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Going in reverse order, starting at the bottom of the lottery and working our way up to that highly coveted number 1 pick, the Boston Celtics select RJ Hampton from the NBL. Hampton opted out of the traditional college path to the NBA, instead playing professionally in Australia, and even though his performance was pretty inconsistent over there, the experience playing against grown professional men in one of the best leagues in the world will undoubtedly be valuable for his transition to the NBA. Hampton is a terrific athlete, strong attacking the basket off the dribble, and as a scorer, he has the potential to provide some real value to a team's rotation. The Celtics bench isn't exactly the deepest at the moment, and the one thing they seemed to lack was an impact scorer in the backcourt off the bench, so developing someone like Hampton into that role could be their aim with this pick. Next up, with the 13th pick in the draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Patrick Williams from Florida State. Patrick Williams is the biggest boom or bust project of a pick in the lottery, but he has the physical tools, explosive athleticism, and measurables teams love from a forward in this situation. Right now, his offensive game is incredibly raw, and he's not necessarily great at any one thing, but he's one of the youngest players in the draft. He showed steady improvement in his one season in college, and for a team like New Orleans, he would absolutely be worth the risk. With the amount of up-and-coming youth on the Pelicans roster, their sights are set on the future, and when it comes to development, Williams wouldn't have the pressure to perform right away if he goes there. Next up, with the 12th pick in the draft, the Sacramento Kings select Aaron Nesmith from Vanderbilt. It's no secret that Buddy Hield is unhappy in Sacramento, and with an imminent trade likely on the way in the very near future, I wouldn't be surprised to see the team look for his replacement in the draft, and Nesmith would not be a bad option in this scenario at all. He too is an absolute lights-out shooter who made a ridiculous 52% of his threes last season prior to his injury. His mechanics are tremendous, he's confident knocking down shots from anywhere on the floor, he moves well without the ball, and he's always ready to get his shot off, very similar to Buddy Hield. Nesmith has great size for a wing at 6'6", he's got a 6'10" wingspan, he projects to be a solid defender, and when it comes to players performing in their roles, Nesmith is one of the best available in the draft. Next up, with the 11th pick in the draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Saddiq Bey from Villanova. Bey is one of the most well-balanced wing prospects in the draft this year, bringing you very solid production in so many different aspects of the game. Offensively, he's a knockdown shooter, making 45% of his threes. He's very fundamentally sound, creating looks for himself, as many Villanova prospects in the past have been before. He can abuse mismatches in the post, and he's extremely coachable. Then on defense, he's the kind of player that will be able to guard multiple positions without a problem, and the Spurs are reportedly very high on him for this reason. Up next, with the 10th pick in the draft, the Phoenix Suns select Devin Vassell from Florida State. The Suns had previously been heavily scouting out the guards in this year's draft, but having just traded for Chris Paul, their focus should shift to a better fit in the rotation, potentially on the wing, and Vassell will be the best player available for this need. Vassell is the best 3-and-D prospect in the class as a terrific shooter from the perimeter, with the size and length that allows him to perform well in any defensive system. At Florida State, he was an elite team defender, showing off an advanced understanding of his job and where he was needed to be, and the Suns could definitely use someone ready to perform now if they're making win-now moves. Up next, with the 9th pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select Onyeka Okongwu from USC. I personally am very high on Okongwu and his potential in the NBA, so if he were to actually slip this far, then not only is he a massive steal value-wise, but he's also the perfect fit for the Wizards. The Wizards were a terrible defensive team last year, and in order to shore that up, you need to protect the middle, and Okongwu is the best rim protector in the class. Not only that though, but he's also incredibly incredibly versatile and compares to Bam Adebayo in that defensively, he's comfortable moving his feet and switching out onto smaller defenders on the perimeter if need be. Plus, on top of all of that, he's a perfect partner for John Wall and Bradley Beal, as he operates well in pick and rolls as a roll man and finishes strong at the basket. Up next, with the 8th pick in the draft, the New York Knicks select Isaac Okoro from Auburn. The Knicks could go a number of different directions with this pick, and many suspect they'll look to bring in a ball handler, but if Okoro is available here, I struggle to see them passing on him and all of his potential. He's easily the best perimeter defender in the class, and has been compared to Andre Iguodala for his competitiveness and impact on that side of things, and his strength, athleticism, and motor are all top-notch. He will need to improve his perimeter shooting, as both his mechanics and consistency in that regard need a ton of work, but as a slasher on offense, he gets to the basket and finishes strongly, and could impact winning immediately. Next up, with the 7th pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons select Killian Hayes from France. The Pistons are in need of a lot, but they're also just beginning their rebuild. Hayes is one of the best and most talented playmakers in the draft with very high upside, but he also needs a few years more of development before he begins to truly play at a high level, so his timeline is on par with the Pistons. Plus, playing behind Derrick Rose would be very good experience for him, and if Rose gets moved at the trade deadline this year, he'll be able to step into a bigger role after and adjusting to the level of play until that point. He has very clearly been inspired by James Harden on the offensive side of things, with the stepbacks, hesitations, crossovers, and sidesteps he's implemented into his game, and that kind of shot creation could blossom in a few years. Next up, with the 6th pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Tyrese Haliburton from Iowa State. The Hawks are looking to make the leap to the postseason next year, with Trae Young leading the way, and with Clint Capella healthy and John Collins continuing to emerge as a young star in the front court, they're pretty strong looking forward. But what they lack is someone capable of taking some of the load off of Trae to create everything offensively, and Haliburton could do very well in this role. Haliburton is much more of a floor general, and he's incredibly unselfish, so he could allow Trae to play his game while also making his life easier in the backcourt. He's a solid defender, he's efficient, and he's reliable, and that could be the perfect fit for this team. Next up, with the 5th pick in the draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Obi Toppin from Dayton. Toppin was this year's Player of the Year in college, as he absolutely electrified every game he took part in and produced at an elite level while putting on a show along the way. Both inside and out, he has the ability to score the basketball at a high level as a power forward, with a steady jumper, a strong post game, and very good handles for someone at his position to create mismatches. Plus, when he gets out in transition, he is a highlight waiting to happen, with the ability to explode to the basket as one of the highest flyers in the class. He does need to work on defense, but the Cavaliers are losing Tristan Thompson to free agency this year, and he should be the replacement there. Up next, with the 4th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls select Deni Avdija from Israel. If there's two things the Bulls need right now, it's a wing player and a playmaker, and luckily for them, Avdija is both of those things. He stands at a very solid 6'9", but he has the playstyle of a pass-first guard, likely translating as somewhat of a point forward to the next level. He sees the floor well, makes smart decisions, and sets those around him up for high-quality looks. He will need to work on his scoring ability, specifically when it comes to his ability to shoot off the dribble, because his efficiency was worrisome last year in that area, and his free throw percentage being below 60% is another red flag. Outside of that though, he's well balanced and capable of contributing in so many different ways that he should come in and fit in flawlessly. Up next, with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Anthony Edwards from Georgia. The top 3 players in this draft could go to any of the 3 teams at the top here, but Edwards seems to be the one falling to 3. He's viewed by most as the best scorer in the class, and his NBA-ready skill set, ability to take and make difficult shots, and his ability to catch fire and take over a game is everything teams could want from a go-to scorer, but the issue is his consistency. One game he looks like one of the most dangerous scorers we could have in the league, but a lot of the time his shot selection lets him down and he gets tunnel vision with the ball in his hands. He has all the talent in the world, but the mental side of things need to be fine-tuned if he wants to live up to the hype. Next up, with the second pick in the draft, the Golden State Warriors select James Wiseman. The Warriors' biggest need right now is a big man, and everything seems to point towards Wiseman being their selection here if they don't trade it away. Wiseman came into college as one of the most highly regarded prospects, and despite only seeing him for 3 games, he's still seen as such. He's 7'1" with a massive wingspan, has tremendous leaping ability, and attacks the rim hard, does well on the boards, and blocks a ton of shots. However, he is still a pretty big mystery when it comes to how he can handle legitimate competition due to the fact that we really haven't seen him tested at all to this point after dropping out of Memphis, but he has all the tools on paper to be great. And finally, with the highly coveted number 1 pick in the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select LaMelo Ball from the NBL. Ball played overseas in Australia last year, and while there, he nearly averaged a triple-double and demonstrated the ability to perform as the absolute best playmaker in the draft. He simply has a knack for seeing the floor and making plays for his teammates that can't be taught, and his creativity on the ball is unmatched. Many people look at his poor shooting percentages and label him as a liability as a scorer, but I personally think he'll be just fine as he continues to grow because he's shown the ability to get his shot off and score tons of points in a hurry in so many different ways in the past. Defensively, he also does need work, but I just think his overall offensive potential is too high to pass on here, and for that, he will be the first name off the board. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you want your favorite team to draft this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.